Hey guys, what's up? So we're here for a basic skill guide video for Zed. First is his passive skill called Contempt for the Weak. When enemies are below 50% HP, Zed's auto attack will deal additional magic damage to them. The bonus magic damage is equal to 7% of the target's max HP.
The Rift Herald has spawned.
After this passive is triggered, there is a 10-second cooldown before he can use it again. Next is his first skill, Razor Shuriken. Zed throws his two shurikens in a line, dealing physical damage to all enemies that are hit. After the shuriken hits the first opponent, the following enemies that will be hit will receive lower damage than the first one. When this ability is cast while Leaving Shadow is active, the shadow will also cast this skill. Next is his second skill, Leaving Shadow. This skill has a passive effect. The passive of Leaving Shadow is when Zed and his Leaving Shadow hits the same enemy, with either the first or third skill, a portion of Zed's energy will be regained.
Do not fear the Shuriken.
The energy regain can only be done once in each skill, which means even if Zed and his shadow hits all 5 enemies with the same skill, only one energy regain happens.
No technique is forbidden.
Next is the active effect. Zed sends a shadow forward that stays in place for 4.5 seconds. While the shadow is active, if Zed casts his first and third skill, the shadow casts it as well, dealing the same exact damage as the original. Reactivating the skill once it is cast makes Zed switch positions with the shadow. There is an arrow indicator on where the shadow of your second skill will be.
Baron Nashor has spawned.
If you're too far away and the indicator turns red, you can't switch position with your shadow anymore. Next is his third skill, Shadow Slash. Zed executes a spinning slash, dealing physical damage to all enemies within its radius. The enemies hit are then slowed down for 1.5 seconds. Each enemy champion hit by Zed's Shadow Slash reduces the second skill's cooldown by 2 seconds. Even if the second skill is active, if Zed hits enemy champions with his Shadow Slash, the cooldown of his second skill will already be reduced once the Living Shadow goes on cooldown. Only the original Shadow Slash can reduce the cooldown of the second skill. A good combo to burst damage will be to use the second skill, then third skill to slow the enemy down, and then use the first skill. The chances of 2 shurikens hitting will be greater once the enemy is slowed down.
Enemy slain.
Last is his ultimate Death Mark. Zed leaves a shadow behind on where the ultimate was cast, becoming untargetable, dashing to the enemy champion, and then leaving a mark. After 3.5 seconds, the mark triggers off and deals physical damage equal to Zed's current attack damage. Within that 3.5 seconds while the mark is active is where you execute all of your skills because a percentage of all the damage done to the enemy is added together with Zed's current attack damage and then explodes.
Master. No technique is forbidden.
Remember that the added percentage damage will only come from Zed's attacks, meaning that damages coming from your allies won't count. It's 25% at level 1, 40% at level 2, and 55% at level 3. The shadow left by Zed stays for 6 seconds. Reactivating of the ultimate will make Zed switch position with his ultimate's shadow. There will also be an arrow indicator on the shadow left by Zed's ultimate. The difference of the second skill shadow with the ultimate shadow is that the ultimate shadow doesn't have a range restriction. So even if Zed is distant from the shadow, as long as the 6-second duration of the ultimate shadow doesn't end yet, Zed can switch position with it. Zed is one of the many difficult champions who can easily burst one enemy out of the battlefield. With the right execution of the skills and combos, Zed can dominate the clash or confuse his opponents with his elusiveness.
Shut down. Double kill. You have slain an enemy. Shut down.
So there we go guys, those are the basic mechanics of his skills. Tell us in the comment section which champion you'd like to see next. That's all for this video, stay safe and thank you for watching.